Hey guys, it's Will. So we've had some big news come out recently with a lot of the industries being impacted by this big, beautiful bill that has come out. And so we're going to do a little bit of talking about that. We're also going to jump into the top stocks to watch, including especially in the AI space, because I think not only the AI space, but definitely, oh, I can hear myself. There we go. Definitely going to be one of the main industries we focus on is here in the near term is going to be the space tech industry for sure. So what we can see here over on the space tech outlook, we got Black Sky as one of the main ones that have recently been moving. One of the reasons that we cover Black Sky so often recently was this swing from this $9 price point up into this $18 price point. And the next target there kind of looking like that $25 target. And when looking for opportunities in the market, we're looking for companies that are providing the most value. And as you can see by the thumbnail, you have, it's probably a picture of me with in the streets, there is a scan of a car. Why is that? Well, Black Sky specializes in this AI tech with their Gen 3 satellites that essentially is able to scan down on Earth the different vehicles, the different airline. You could see a airplane there. It's scanning the different even people. But notably, one thing to note is just how freaking clear their satellite images are. I would be convinced that it's possible they could do facial recognition down on Earth basically from these satellites because of how HD it appears their satellites are looking. I mean, when you can see very, very small clear ripples in the water, I mean, that's kind of good indication. When you can make out all the people, we'll have to see how good they really are. But what we're looking at here with the recent moves, why we saw them potentially build some momentum, their financials were looking better. They were starting to heat up a little bit. With the recent launch with Rocket Lab, that just positioned them well to be able to continue to build out the revenues. So their revenues have been increasing quarter over quarter, and annually they've been increasing their revenues. If we take a look at their balance sheet, annually it looks like pretty good, and then quarterly we see them increase their total assets as well, with liabilities definitely going up there a little bit more than you'd probably like. But overall, we do see signs of growth across the financial side of things. So again, under $1 billion market cap, potentially putting themselves in positions to sign some $100 million plus contracts. I think that's really good indication. They got a couple here, 100 million, 7-year subscription contract there. So when they're signing $100 million contracts and they're still under $1 billion market cap, it's a pretty good indication that we could see some future growth. So again, kind of near term, since they IPO'd, it was really volatile. We saw them sell off aggressively, and now we start to see them recover. Taking a look at the chat here, I see Nalzir. Hey, what's going on? Happy to have you in here, man. And you say, market going to be bearish this week? We shall see. I got some insights for you, I believe. Sanders says, can you please do analysis on Quamco? We could take a look. Jzev says, what's up, Will? What's up, Jzev? Hopefully you're having a good one, man. Solo Slick says, you that guy on Facebook with the Robinhood ads? That's funny. Yeah, so I am partnered with Robinhood specifically for those promotions of their Robinhood Legend for their Facebook and their Instagram and maybe LinkedIn or something else. Their team there reached out to the channel. Really funny story. Right before that happened, there was this contract that I got offered to do ads with, and it was for this company called Mumu, which I did some research on, and essentially I did a bunch of research, and they offered me a lot of money, I'll just say. I mean, maybe not a lot for some people, but I'll tell you this, like over $10,000 in like a monthly basis is what it would have been made out to, basically. We didn't do it, and like I don't know what it says here, but if you take a look here, it's just funny. Like there's a lot of people saying like you should use this maybe that one's a legit overview, but I basically learned that they were paying a lot of influencers and that they were holding some deposits actually, and that some people were having trouble taking their money out. So it actually was not really of integrity. Anyway, I reject them. And then a week later, Robinhood reaches out. And that is why I took the Robinhood one, because I actually do like Robinhood. And personally, I already use Robinhood. And so it made sense. So that's kind of the whole story with that. Why you saw those ads on Robinhood. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. I'm super grateful for you guys for helping me get that opportunity because they looked at the audience for sure. Let's go. All right. So when it comes to the space tech industry, a lot of reasons to watch Black Sky. Again, I think if they validate this support, I do think there's room to run. One thing to note, we were looking at the earnings for this week, and there was only one company basically notably reporting earnings this week in our targets inside of Stockmates. And there's only one company that was really reporting earnings, and it is Delta Airlines. And I actually kind of had this outlook on Delta because one of the things to consider with this big beautiful bill that was passed is you could potentially see some incentives or even leniency into some cuts on fuel that they will most likely see a little bit of a reduction in their expenses as a result of that bill in the instances of specifically fuel. So when it comes to, for example, Delta Airlines, I didn't really take a look, but just kind of transitioning again before we get there, Black Sky, I'm looking at this margin for profit of about 30% to continue. We're already up 66%. So a pullback down in this $18 range could make a lot of sense. And we'll see. Boris says APLD update. I got you, Boris. We'll take a look for sure, man. And Nalzir says top bloke turning down money for us. Yeah, man. I mean, it's just like I want you guys to get legitimate value for sure. Shadiness with that app. Yeah, I mean, I personally saw it. That's why I said no. So when it comes to wild good stuff, when it comes to this Delta potential play, I actually want to jump into airlines real quick, kind of talk about it because ever since COVID, airlines basically sold off huge. Where are airlines at? I thought we had an airlines watch list. There we go. Oh, we got the airlines rallying today. T-Por is up. I traded T-Por big time last summer. It was so consistent. Check out 2024, the consistent swings. And this was after COVID. So COVID did some really crazy stuff to the airline market. But after a while, it started to swing very consistently into 2024. And we were trading it a ton. So airlines kind of making a little bit more of a focus, I think, with that bill. You got Delta reporting basically this week. I think it is July 10th, Thursday, before market open. They're reporting earnings. And airlines, like, this was COVID, right? Was this 2020? Yeah. So COVID, they basically sold down crazy, and they did recover up to previous highs, which is great. But then you did see a recent sell-off, pretty big sell-off. So what I wanted to talk about, if we have earnings coming up with Delta, let's just take a look real quick at the stock. Market cap 33 billion. Their recent income statements, the revenue has been around 15 billion a quarter, so really pretty good, right? If they're 33 billion market cap, but they bring in about 16 billion a quarter, kind of pretty good. So they've seen some growth. Then you got the balance sheet. Their liabilities were kind of high there, but they did cut them down, it looks like, just a tad in 2024, and then getting into 2025, their assets did go down just about 3%. So what I was looking at with Delta was their recent earnings coming up on Thursday. And yeah, so I mean, if we see them maybe continue some of the trend that they're in right now, and I see Sandesh, I didn't forget you, man. Of course, gonna take a look at it. I would love for for you to be able to see it, but I'm going to prioritize some of the top picks here to start, and then we'll go from there. If you do have a minute, then I'm sure you'll be able to get an analysis on that stock, brother. So when it comes to this recovery here, a couple moments of rejection. You got the support here for Delta at $50 a share, resistance, and that's kind of where it is right now. So what I'm going to watch here is the earnings and see if we get a break above. I know that they're airlines. They're maybe not the most sexy stock that we normally cover. Maybe it's not like a Big Bear or Black Sky, but I do think that if they're one of the only companies reporting earnings, and the recent bill that was passed seems to be something that would potentially be good for them, that we could potentially see them make this move. Now, some of the moves would be like this 5 to 10% swing up into these levels, this previous resistance and support. And if we see them get back into stride, maybe even as high as a 30% swing into previous highs, that's quite the margin for profit. I don't know if there's a stock that is for Delta. We could see it doesn't look like it. There's like a Delta 2X or anything, so that's okay. But yeah, about a 30% margin for profit if it continues to hold above $50 a share. And with their earnings this week, potentially that would be something we would be watching. So that's definitely on the list, especially after taking a look at some of their financials holding pretty well. We'll have to see if they can continue some of that momentum into the next quarter. Awesome. All right, so we're going to take a look here. Boris had APLD. Before we get into APLD, quick look here at QMCO, which I'm not familiar with. So we'll start it off with the financials before we get into the chart. QMCO, Quantum Corporation. $9 a share. They've had some pumps and some dumps. All right, annual revenues are holding about 300 million to 400 million a year. Their net income dropped big in December 2024 to negative 70 million. Their balance sheets has a lot more liabilities than assets. You see, they don't really have what you would say is runway. They're actually in the hole right now. Liabilities up 20% year over year, while their assets are down 15%. There would be no reason for me to prioritize looking at this company. It says Quantum Corporation is a data storage, management, and protection company that provides technology to store, manage, archive, and protect video and structured data throughout the data lifecycle. It's really interesting that they call themselves Quantum, because one of the biggest issues right now with quantum computing is the storage of data. So it's just kind of funny that their name is Quantum. Not that they are a quantum company or a quantum computing company, but they do focus here in data storage management. Yeah, I mean, if there was a specific reason, you maybe got some contracts there, Airbus. They have some customers that are Fortune 500. But I mean, as far as catalysts, I would need to know why you're watching them. Let me know, why are you watching them? Maybe we could take a deeper dive into what you believe will drive their stock. Otherwise, financials do not look favorable. Just take a look at the chart. Kind of pumps and it dumps. And it's had this volatility. That's a pump and dump. Cool. All right, for Boris, we got an APLD update. So we got APLD. Let's take a look. Boris says, take a look. So APLD, we had last we looked at it maybe a week or so ago, we were saying it could find support at $9.50 here. So $9.50 support, we did see that play out. And we see it consolidate here from left to right. We were looking for this move, I guess, up into this $12.50 range. It looks like it did pull back considerably down to that $10 price point, and it's been holding that level pretty strong. So from a perspective, they recently signed a CoreWeave contract worth a couple $1 billion. They build data centers for NVIDIA, for Intel, for Microsoft, and they focus on sustainable resources for those data centers. So if you take a look at their data center focus, traditional versus APLD, they focus and engineer workloads directly to the point of generation. So wind, solar, could be from a grid, but really they focus on hydroelectric and things like that. And they had this $7 billion data center deal recently, which is what drove their stock up to what was $15 a share on June 6th. And then since then, it's sold back down, found support here at a previous support at $9.50. And now it's really looking for this target of getting back into this $12.50 or $13 range, which is about a 30% margin for profit. We're talking about a 20 to 30% margin. The previous high is about a 47%. A really strong support there at $9.50. That their financials still hadn't fully caught up, if I'm not mistaken. Still pretty high at 1.2. But their assets are growing faster. Their liabilities are high, which is normal. But again, nothing that really stood out on the financial side of things. It was more a fundamental play. And then they also partner for zero water cooling solutions at North Dakota AI data center. They work with and build data centers for some of the top companies in the world. You got Supermicro, NVIDIA, Dell, Intel, Hewlett Packard, NVIDIA. So it would make sense that they get back up into that $13 range. So it's a really good call out, Boris. Thanks for dropping that one. I think that's valuable for people, especially as AI continues to grow. Data center is one of the main things that powers AI. So I think it would make sense if we see them continue to find that level. Now, the short term, as we know, there could be some volatility in the market. So watch that $9.50 range. If it doesn't hold there, there could be some volatility. I don't know that it would sell all the way back down to these levels in that $5, $6 a share. That would be super conservative. But I do think it's stabilized a little bit more since that big surge back in 2021 with a lot of hype in tech, that they kind of have found a little bit more of a stride here as they continue to kind of build the market cap up into these levels. And they recently pulled back, so could potentially be a better entry on the near term. Again, still looking a little oversold, overbought if you look at that range. But I do think if they hold that 950 support, it's a really nice play for APLD. Someone says the video is glitching. Is the video glitching? Let me know. Oh, audio keeps cutting. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me now? Or is the audio still having trouble? Hello? Hello? All right, let me pull up a internet speed test real quick. Sometimes, it's not going that hot at all. Cool. You guys hear me? Yes. Cool. Okay. All right, it was glitching. Sorry about that. I still gotta change I still gotta do something with the positioning of the Starlink because I moved it recently because I'm working on a rental right now. And we're doing some remodeling and I moved my setup. And when I moved my setup, as we're remodeling this place, I also moved the Starlink. But I think that when I moved it, it wasn't the best positioning. So that's kind of the deal there. Cool. All right. So we did the full breakdown there on Quamco. We got to do the breakdown on APLD. When it comes to some of the other ones you guys got here, Nalzir says, do you get into any pharmaceutical stocks? The only one that I've really done research on is Amgen, but that's already a really large market cap. It's more of a slow mover. They use quantum computing to do their drug discovery, so I find them to be valuable. Robin says, can you take a look at SEALSQ and CTM? And then also Nalzir says NVO. Okay, we can take a look. So I'm going to jump in. And Nalzir says, I left and came back and it worked. But I think that it was actually me. I don't think it was you. I think it was me. So there it is. When it comes to the next stock that is on the list, or at least being asked to get reviewed here, it is Robin saying SEALSQ and CTM. So we'll take a look at CTM real quick. How is it holding recently? CTM stock. CTM. So CTM's at $1.11. We have this target for CTM of getting back up into this $1.32, if not up to this $1.95. The reason we're bullish is because of their financials looking very steadily good and increasing over the course of the last year. If we look at CTM, Castellum Inc., they got really good quarterly revenues holding at 11 million. Annual revenues around 50 million a year. And keeping their financials disciplined and fairly good, even reducing debt more in the last quarter. So total assets are up, income seems to be doing well, and they're still under $100 million market cap, or they're just at 100 million exactly, excuse me. So what we're looking for really is this continuation. I would imagine that we could see this move potentially play out to get back up into these levels of this $1.25 a share. They have some contracts in the hundreds of millions. That's a 15% margin. What we'd be looking at too for recovery, there would be about a 90% swing. It has had some big push-ups that look near what a pump and dump would look like, so I get it. But I will tell you, it was just around 100 million market cap to 250 million market cap. So it's still been pretty small in its market cap, and we start to see it continue this trend. So that's kind of what we're looking at here for CTM. So that's kind of the breakdown. As far as the market they're in, it's growing. As far as the financials, they look good. And then the technicals, they're at a resistance right now at about $1.15 that they've gotten rejected at. But really what we're looking for first is that shoot up into that $1.30 range, which is a nice about 18% margin for profit on CTM. And that's what we'll be watching most likely at market open tomorrow. And we do have some long-term positions there. The other one is SEALSQ. SEALSQ. I haven't covered this one. I've been kind of a little more bearish on the stock. I think that it got really manipulated and shot up here to $11. It's quite possible that it does have a recovery and push back up above this resistance that it's established. We could kind of take a look at the financials and see how things look there for SEALSQ. So it's ticker symbol LAES. Ticker symbol LAES. They got 67 employees, market cap of about 480 million. You can take a look here. Net income has been negative every quarter. Revenues were kind of increasing and then dropped off there in 2024. The balance sheets was looking good, about 97 million. Total liabilities are down. So the financials look okay. The income statement is negative and decreasing year over year. So if you take a look at the income statement, you go to annual, this last year, they really kind of lost some things. I don't know what's going on there. And then they specialize in cybersecurity for quantum computers, semiconductors. They got microcontrollers, trust controllers. The only thing I would say is be careful when you see a lot of, AI generated or stock photos for their tech. It's just something I watch for. So that's something I watch for when you see stock photos like that. It's just a little strange. They have a lot of announcements and they talk about the markets that are growing, and they're very good at marketing. But I haven't seen any indication that their contracts have been worth considerable amounts of money. So far, I haven't seen them as a company that I would personally see as one that's growing. They also have a ton of solutions, a ton of quantum stuff, a lot of different products. They talk about the quantum threats, so quantum computers and what that means. They have some stock images. I get that that is something that we got to watch out for, but at the same time, when it comes to maybe some of the focus that they have, I do think that they have, 40 employees or 60 employees. It seems pretty insane to have so many different focuses with such a small amount of employees. So I could just be a little bearish, but I'd have to see where the value is being provided that would really indicate the growth trajectory that a lot of people have them on. When it comes to the resistance, I just see they are building some market cap, and it's possible. But I'm looking for that catalyst. So if you have it, go ahead and drop it. Let me know. What is the catalyst that you're finding that makes you want to buy LAES? What is the catalyst? Is it just quantum's big and quantum's going to be big in the future and cybersecurity makes sense? Or is it because you see that they have like a foot in the industry, they're selling a service or they're selling their product to certain companies and they have a real world connection to where the fastest growing part of the quantum industry is, and that's why they would be, like what is the reason? Is it just because of the market, or is it because there's a specific foothold they have with their product? And that's kind of what I would ask. Like a good way to kind of gear that is, for example, when considering NVIDIA, when I was looking at NVIDIA for the first time back in like 2019 or 2018, I remember thinking like, it's not just about buying GPUs. It's about buying companies that are providing the infrastructure specifically for Microsoft or Apple, or specifically for Tesla, and NVIDIA was that company. So you got to look for that specific connection, not just that they're in the right market, if that makes sense. Because there's like a really good way to look at it. It's like you have a market, 90% of companies in quantum will not be good companies. Only about 5 to 10% will be good. So just because they're in the quantum market doesn't mean they're a good buy. It's kind of like QUBT. I know a lot of people talk about them, but it's kind of the same deal. Like, where's the real world connection? Haven't seen it. So that's kind of the that's the approach. Yetta says, hey, can you enable Chinese subtitles? It's possible. I don't know if I could do that personally in a live video. I don't know what it says, that it doesn't let me do that in a live video. I just tried, actually. Sorry about that. So I think it has to be a video that was already that's not happening right now. Excuse me. So I think it has to be a company, or not a company, a video that's happening not in real time. So that's going to be a focus. So LAES, hopefully that is helpful. The way that we break it down, do you see how it's not just like they're in the right market or whatever? It's like, where's the value? So BBAI is one we had some really good breakdowns of recently. Solo Slick says, can you take a look at QBTS? For sure. And when I say really good breakdowns, I mean some people are sharing with me some good insights. What we see is this push up here and a market push up right now of 789. So we do see some momentum carry here as stocks are starting to react. We just saw it just a few moments ago here, push up into 812 today and then sell back down. This is the real-time analysis. And at one point it dropped down to 750 to that support, which is actually pretty good level to watch. And we're seeing it here react in some manipulation potentially at market open for tomorrow. So we're going to watch, because what is followed by manipulation is oftentimes going to be distribution. So when you have the distribution kick in, then we're going to be looking for what could be a recovery after that, or what would be the accumulation stage. And so we're going to see how it reacts at market open. There's a lot of stocks that have been moving maybe negative here as we kind of jump into the Sunday session here. But I do know that tomorrow morning we'll have a pretty big focus on which stocks are in that accumulation stage and enter that stage. Cool. So I do see a ton of comments here. We got NVO. That's the one now Zero wants to take a look at. We could take a look there. So I just took a look at, it was CTM and LAES for Robin. So Robin, hopefully that was helpful for you. We just did the full breakdown. And then when it comes to this other one, NVO, and Michael, we'll get to that one, GLXY. Let's take a look at this NVO stock that is being recommended. And I'm going to go ahead and search it up, NVO stock. So Novo Nordisk, okay. This is a pharmaceutical company, is it not? Yes, it is. A pharmaceutical company. No worries. Are you leaving? You going somewhere cool?
I'm going to the lake with Anya. We're going to go for a run, swim, and
Epic.
Scott. Like, if you want to come and join us.
That sounds cool. I would love to. Okay, sounds cool. So when it comes to Nordisk, you got the PE ratio just under 20, so a good PE ratio. The quarterly revenues increasing into about 78 billion, and revenue at 290 billion. Balance sheet good, but total liabilities did rise higher than their assets. So that's kind of the breakdown with the financials. The quarterly revenues, as you can see, are doing good. So financials look good. Let's take a look at their recent moves. Wow, massive sell-off. Yeah, they had a big sell-off from July 2024 for the last year. It appears to be something that would be more valuable in that they've sold off so much, given that their revenues didn't seem to decline. Yeah, their revenues did not decline. So yeah, I mean, kind of depends on your goal. Let me know your goal. What's your entry? Are you long-term? If you're long-term, yeah, I could see something like that, V-shaped pattern, something like that, 90% increase. That's really nice. If you're kind of on the near term, short term, and you're not looking for, holding long, you do have this overall downtrend that's been pretty consistent here. You kind of see that level. You got that downtrend. It's trying to now uptrend. It's trying to make this reversal out of the downtrend. And you can see that it has a pretty clear kind of rising support and resistance, trying to break out and get out of this downtrend to recover. And maybe that's what you're watching, the swing up into this $83 range. That's a 20% swing on NVO, right? So, I mean, when it comes to that potential swing, maybe managing risk between that $67 and $69 range and looking for that swing into that $82 range. It's about a 20% margin for profit. So it kind of just depends how you're looking at it. If you're long-term, then of course, okay, so you're short-term. You're long and short term to $80, 85-ish. Yeah, I mean, now so take a look at it. I mean, it makes sense, right? Your risk is kind of low. The only thing I'd watch out for is if it does continue that overall longer term downtrend, then you could see it sell down even further. So obviously you would probably have a stop loss much smaller than that 20% you're going for. So maybe a 1 to 3% stop loss to manage some risk there in case that does happen. But you're looking for that 20% margin. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah. Awesome, Nazir. Cool. Yeah, I mean, short term, long term, it really just depends. Right now, it's trying to push back above that 200-day moving average. It recently sold down. When it's above that blue line, that EMA, it's bullish. When it's below, it's bearish. It's trying to push above, and it's trying to push above that green line, that 200-day moving average, which when it's above that green line, it's bullish. So you want to see it break up. I would look for that push into that $80 range for sure. But Just realize that it hasn't fully shot up yet. So that's okay. You might have an early entry, and that's really good. But as long as you have a plan together, I think you're kind of in a good spot. Tangland says, what about Wolf stock coming out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and they bumped 56% recently? I don't cover that stock. I've had people ask me about it, but the reason being is the financials never made sense. In fact, we weren't really that surprised when they said they were doing bankruptcy announcement there. And Michael, hey Michael, I know you've been here for the last 2 days, and last time you said GLXY, and I have it written down right in front of me here, so I know you want to take a look at it. Let's take a look at it. So GLXY, okay, Michael, there is some prior craziness back in 2021, but we'll take a look. GLXY stock. Galaxy Digital. They are a $11 billion company. Net income's been kind of non-existent. Assets are above $1 billion with $98 million in liabilities. Financials don't look bad at all. Let's see. I haven't looked at their like SEC filings or any of that stuff. What do they focus on? Data centers, infrastructure for AI. Really nice industry. Data centers. Let's take a look at the newsroom. They got some good partnerships. They use public news, which is not good. They need to use their own press releases. Okay, announcements. $425 million private placements. They got some gaming. They're still funding digital asset infrastructure, so maybe Bitcoin mining here. BitGo, investment banking, State Street, kind of in the money raising era right now. All Unity here. A lot of Bitcoin mining related stuff. They're not generating any money or value so far, and they have 3D images for their stuff. They have 3D generated like images. So bringing the world on train, like this isn't real. This is like a fake image. So I don't know why they don't just use a real photo. Okay. When you look at the financials there, it looked like they had a lot of on their balance sheet, but when it came down to their income, they're not making any revenue, 0 revenue. So I'm not really sure what your goal is with the company, but they've been manipulated highly in the past. You see that manipulation? So I probably wouldn't touch it. Yeah. So hopefully that's helpful for you, Michael. CoreWeave partnership. That could be interesting as well. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, so hopefully that's helpful. And then the last one that we had a little bit higher up, I think it was D-Pro. I see that one. You got United Health was one of them. We just kind of went over United Health. The general consensus was that it could be a buy, but that I don't normally invest in companies that are in the healthcare business of the US because I don't like a lot of the integrity they run on. But the margin per profit was about 80% recovery in the long term, with a strong support there at about $300, which it did validate for United Health. So we check MVST. We have checked that one out in the past. I would be more than happy to take a look. There are a few ones you got here. You got Super Microcomputer. You got Oscar Health. You got Microvast. You got Cooler, someone's saying. You got RX. You got CNC. You got Fubu. So here's what we're going to do. All these that you guys are dropping, I'm only going to review them if you have a plan. If you don't have a plan with them, then I'm not going to be able to do a review. So like, just because there's so many. Now, like, I get like general overview, but it's not going to be helpful for you unless you tell me really what your plan is. Because some people will mention stocks and they're bearish, they're short, or some people mention stocks, they're super long term, or they're super short term. So it's like, what would be most helpful to you is if you share with me what's your entry or what's your exit plan, where would you buy, where would you sell, and what would be the focus there. Clayton says, Will, sign up for Cash to Assets, Stockmates HQ, $3.99. Wanted to the daily live streaming on YouTube. Feel like I signed up for the wrong thing. Can you explain? I could take a look at what it is. I know I called you when you signed up and it didn't go through. But usually how it works is you look for your email right at market open tomorrow morning at 6:15 Pacific time, about 15 minutes before market open, and you get the email that takes you to our live session where we are investing and I'm trading in the morning. And so you could take a look at your email, make sure that you search, Will Rich in the email so you can like find it, comment or send me something back. And then when it comes to what you get inside of Stockmate, you have all the targets, you get the community with different research, which there's some really good research from members in here. If you head on over to the home, you get the earnings targets for different companies, what we'd expect when they're reporting earnings pre-market and after hours, and which companies we are most watching throughout the week. You also are getting like you get free books. There's about 70 plus lessons on technical analysis, fundamental analysis inside of it. And you also get access to a custom profit plan generated for you along with a free t-shirt. So if you had trouble getting any of those things, definitely shoot me an email. I did see that I did give you a call, but it didn't go through. Not sure what happened there. I think it was, you probably get calls all the time. You just didn't know it was me. So no worries at all. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on. That's what you're getting access to. So too many stocks. Everyone wants Will. Hey man, I'm happy to do it. It just helps if you have a plan. Okay, so Shaz FNM says Fubo and I'm going long on the stock. All right, so let's take a look. Fubu, you're going long on the stock, so you're going very long. They've had a lot of pumping and a lot of dumping. Kind of see that volatility. So I don't know what your entry is. Just be careful here. A lot of pumping and dumping. Why is that? Why would they have that? I think one of the main reasons is because people sign up for Fubu when they want to get a trial for something so that they can watch it and then cancel their subscription before the end. How many of you guys agree? How many of you guys have ever gotten Fubu and you have bought, but you immediately canceled so that you could just watch the thing? And I think it kind of shows up. Why is it that they have revenues of 400 million and 500 million a quarter, even 1.6 million, but their net income, what they actually net, the money they actually make, is negative? Do you see that? The actual negative. Now, they did have a positive net income there in March, which was rare because they always have a negative income. So it really just depends. But there could be a merger there. I think that's, that's a strong case. But again, like you see how their liabilities are up there. Their net income is negative despite having such high income. And I think that's exactly why. Just like that's their business model. Like they make money a lot of times because of people that forget to cancel. It's kind of a weird way to make money, I guess. But they do provide value to the world. Like, I feel like as far as entertainment goes, they are a go to. So I wouldn't say they're a bad play long term. You do see their revenue increasing. And I don't think they're a bad play. I just think that it makes sense that we see this volatility, these pumps and these dumps and stuff, because it's kind of the nature of like how their company is used, actually. So yeah, I would say like right now, kind of overbought, a lot of risk involved. It's at a resistance there at about $3.70. Possible that it continues to go. It's not for a lot of streaming because a lot of times people go to Fubo just to watch one specific event, and people go to Disney or like let's say Netflix, they do go for one specific event or movie sometimes, but a lot of times they go for like a series or something, and it's like they'll just keep their membership, and it's a lot cheaper. Whereas Fubu could be like, if it bills you, it's going to be like $200 or something, which is not as cheap as Disney or Netflix. So that's where I think that Fubu, that's part of why they have a negative net income. I could be wrong. That's just my take. Um, but yeah, so I mean, personally, I wouldn't go long on Fubu, but I mean, if you see the potential there, I mean, there could be something you see that other people don't see. Yeah, right. Yeah, totally. And then we got some good ones here. We got FBRX. Bradley says if the trials go well, that thing's soaring in 2026. All right, in RX looking for a decent low entry to manage the risk. Nice. QBTS, Jose says QBTS. Let's do it, Jose. QBTS. D-Wave. All right, so D-Wave has found a resistance and support here as it has recovered. You do see some movement there in the past few weeks, pushing back up into that $16 range. The question is, some of their recent announcements didn't have any contract values, so maybe those show up in the next year or so. But I think that like when you really consider what QBTS has done, they have this unique approach to quantum where they are, really, 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 really focused on the commercial side and going straight to quantum annealing, which is less explored. They have $5 billion in market cap. They got about 200 employees, and their quarterly financials have been all over the place. Sometimes positive, sometimes very negative, sometimes very, very negative. Balance sheet, you see total assets kind of increasing, but liabilities continue to go up. They did reduce their liabilities in the last quarter, which was really good. So really good to see that they're raising money and still keeping the liabilities relatively low. That's really healthy. When it comes to their developments of their new technology, they did make some recent changes with the wording on their website. I think there might have been a lawsuit or two around some of the claims that they had made. And I did kind of talk about that. When it came to the real world usage, a lot of it was in experimental phases, and we were looking for releases of some very clear use cases in some of the new companies that they had partnered with. So they had partnered with MasterCard. We didn't really hear much about it afterwards. They have a really amazing potential, but it's potential. And so we don't always invest based on potential. We do look at potential, but it also is a way to very easily lose money to invest solely based on potential. They did sell a computer to Jülich in Germany. That was like a 20 million or somewhere in there. It was like 10 to 20 million dollar sale, and that's what pushed their financials positive in the last quarter on their revenue of about 15 million. So that was good. Still, yet to kind of see how that works out for them. A lot of people have this connotation that it's going to $50 or $100. And to each their own. I think the real world value they're bringing to the world so far hasn't shown indication that they would be a $5 billion company. I don't think that would make sense. I have done a lot of research on the company. I've also found that some people are extremely bullish on it. And that's totally fine. But when it comes to the facts of what they're able to bring, there was the sale. They did get a sale to Davidson, but we don't know if it's a sale actually, in Huntsville, Alabama, which could be potentially a sale that shows signs of actual revenue for them, even more so. But if not, if that new quantum computer in Huntsville, Alabama was not a sale or wasn't a contract and there wasn't money that was made, but it was more like, let's have a partnership, then we won't see that really show up in the balance sheet. And we probably won't see a lot of money inflow. They just did a public offering July 1st at market equity. Not a problem. They're great at selling. So part of why they're great at selling is because they are excellent at copywriting. They're excellent at selling shares, for example, in this case. And their marketing is their number one thing. I think their marketing is amazing. And the degree that they are able to market is largely what's been able to grow their business, even in times of not generating a positive net income. But when it comes to real world value delivery, you do have to, look for those solutions to show signs of providing an immeasurable or irreplaceable amount of value to the companies they work with. And we saw they got a partnership with MasterCard, didn't turn into much. We saw they got a partnership with Boeing, hasn't turned into much. We saw Anduril potentially eyeing them, hasn't turned into much. So it's possible that they just haven't been able to provide that full value that the companies are looking for, or that the marketplace is requiring. So to see them surge into those $25, $30, or $50 price ranges, it would be purely based on a market sentiment of positive outlook, and less based on the real world value delivery, which is totally okay. But that happens all the time. But I don't believe that would be the type of investment that I personally would want to be in. So I do have some long term with QBTS. The short term, I think, has more overextension and rides more on potential than possible value. I think that sell down into this $12 range would make a lot of sense here. So that's going to be kind of the focus there. So hopefully that gives you a full breakdown. But yeah, there's a lot of reasons to follow quantum, and some of the companies have some serious value build right now. But just to look at what is really happening, you can't get ahead of yourself. You can if you want, but slow and steady is good in quantum, because that means when they make it, they'll keep it. So that was for Jose. Jose, thanks for tuning in. I think I see Jose in our live sessions in Stockmate as well. Is that right, Jose? I think I've seen you there. Thanks so much for tuning in, man. I hope you have a great weekend. It's been a good 4th of July. And yeah, man, awesome. You read somewhere that QBTS sold their first computer. Yeah, that's right. Solo Slick, that's good. Sound. Let's take a SoundHound. Sandish says SoundHound. Shaw says SoundHound. APLD, Robert, we did cover earlier. We did just cover APLD, Robert. So that's there for you. I think you got to go back probably about 10 minutes. You'll find it. All right, we'll jump into sound, and this will be the last one for the day, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in here on this Sunday Stock Talk. And we'll take a look here. Yeah, we could take a look. Yeah, I can do Oscar Health real quick. I did see you mention that one earlier. So we go AI and LLM. We're going to look for SoundHounds. Again, guys, you got to have a plan. You don't have to, but if you want me to answer it and do the analysis, having a plan will go a long ways. With all respect, right? I think it's best for you and me. It's like, what are the intentions with the stock? Are you short term? Are you long term? Are you shorting the stock? Are you bullish on the stock? Let me know. And you got to let me know some targets. Because, I mean, you don't have to, but if you want the best chance of reviewal, I think that would be super helpful for you and me. So it looks like SoundHound, we kind of had this outlook on a potential sell down to this $9.70 range on the near term. It does have a support or resistance there at about 970, but there is some levels that it could target. I think that we see this bull trend kind of kick in, and we're looking for a target up into this level here of about $12. So the $12 range here be about a 12% increase. That's another range it can hit. So why were we covering it? We have some people that are interested in it. I know that they are providing value for a lot of companies now. You can see all the companies. You got ASICS, you got Aeromexico, you got Hyundai, Kia, Stellantis, you got Lucid, Pandora, White Castle, Chipotle, Samsung, LG, Oracle, Nvidia, Teva Pharmaceuticals. Why is it that all these companies are going with SoundHound? Well, SoundHound has this AI voice that is very good, and it's as generative AI that can be suitable for different experiences, whether it's in an automotive, whether it's at a drive-through. That's why you see some of the food industry going with SoundHound there. See fine-tuned voice AI for profitable operations, for restaurants. Talking money is stressful, make it easy with AI agents. So using agentic AI, it would make a lot of sense to see that happen. Clayton says, Clayton joined the Daily Live Trading Vaults. Let's go, Clayton. Happy to have you here in the Daily Live Trading Vault. So the Daily Live Trading Vault, you'll get lifetime access to all of the recordings of the live sessions after they happen. So if you want to watch a live session of how we traded Tesla stock right after the elections, for example, you could go find it. If you want to go find when we were trading quantum stocks when they were still around $1 a share, you can go find it. In fact, you can go into all of the replays of the live sessions from Stockmate there in the Daily Live Trading Vaults. So congratulations on joining, man. Happy to have you there, and look forward to seeing you in our live session tomorrow morning as well inside of Stockmate. Cool. So when it comes to the, and just, you know, that's Stockmate, the live sessions, the real live is a little different than the live trading vaults. For those of you guys saying, oh, if I get in the live trading vault, I'll get the live trading vaults is all the replays of the vaults. The Stockmate market session at market open tomorrow morning, about 12 hours from right now, will be live at market open. If you want to join us there, it's the second link in the description, and that sale's closing here very soon for the 4th of July weekend. If you want to take advantage of it, would love to see you there at market open for our daily live trading. So when it comes to SoundHound, one thing that we noticed too was their financials were starting to heat up a little bit. If I'm not mistaken, they had a lot better financials in the last quarter. Is that true? Here, quarterly. Yeah, so their net income rose to 129 million. See that? And quarterly, their assets rose to 587, and then their liabilities shrunk to just 190 million. So things starting to look a lot better there. There's a lot of hype articles and things like that, but we do see them build their workforce pretty fast, up to 842. And we see that their revenue has been increasing about 150% year over year, and net income up about 493% year over year. So we do see a lot of growth in the financials. And part of the reason why we see that, even though they had a big negative net income there too, and then a positive, but the balance sheet has looked pretty good, is because they're working with a lot of big players now. We see them working with some of the top companies in the world that would stand to benefit from having some AI technology. So that's why we see them there. Now, when it comes to the recent moves, again, we'd really look for confirmation that they are going to continue up into that $13 range. If they were, we'd probably identify a trend here when it's starting to continue up. If it breaks above that EMA, we'd probably set a stop somewhere here around that previous resistance around $11 or just under $11, and look for that swing up into that $13 range or $12.50 range. And that would be kind of the market sentiment if we're bullish. And then if we're bearish, again, got to watch those levels there at $9. It's possible. I think more than likely, though, we could start to see the market cap continue to build and maybe get up into this $12 range. Even that $15 range could make a lot of sense there. Aaron says, my favorite time of the week. Greetings, everyone. Yeah, really happy that we're able to do this like every Sunday. We've been doing our stock talks and getting ahead of the markets. And it is the main thing that I would find has been super valuable is a lot of the thoughts you guys come out with. There's been some good stocks we've gone over so far. Really valuable for those of you that are tuning in. And yeah, let's keep it going for sure. So thanks so much, guys. I'm actually going to be running, though. I have to get some things in order. It's Sunday. It's getting a little later, and I got to get some things in order for this next week. Glad we were able to do this YouTube session. If you guys want to join us in our daily live trading tomorrow, we'll be there at market open. And for those of you that ever want to watch me trade live, see my entries and my exits, it's the second link in the description down below. I appreciate you all. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for tuning in. Take care, guys.